There's a specific moment in the arena when everything shifts. Not when the gladiator roars, not when he beats his chest, not when he performs for the crowd. The shift happens when he stops, when he stands in silence, when he looks at his opponent with nothing to prove. And in that silence, something changes. The crowd feels it. The opponent feels it. Fear enters the arena, not because of what the gladiator did, because of what he didn't need to do. Maximus understood this before he ever entered the Colosseum, understood that the man who needs to prove himself reveals weakness with every word, every gesture, every explanation, because proof is what you offer when you don't believe, when you're uncertain, when you need external validation to confirm internal worth. But the man who knows, who's tested himself in private, who's built capability through years of silent discipline, that man needs nothing from the crowd. And that need for nothing is what makes him dangerous. The weak man proves constantly, proves his strength, proves his competence, proves his worth. Always talking, always explaining, always seeking confirmation that what he claims is real. And in that constant proving, he reveals the truth. He doesn't believe it himself, hasn't tested it, hasn't forged it through real trials, just performs it. And performance always breaks under pressure, always reveals the gap between claim and capability, between image and substance. The strong man proves nothing, doesn't explain his strength, doesn't defend his competence, doesn't justify his worth. He simply is. And that being, that quiet certainty that needs no validation, that's what creates fear. Not fear of violence, fear of solidity, of something that can't be moved, can't be manipulated, can't be broken through mockery or challenge or doubt. Because what do you do with a man who needs nothing from you? How do you control someone who doesn't care about your opinion? How do you break someone who's already broken himself down and rebuilt in private? You can't, and that's what they fear. Watch how men interact when someone needs to prove themselves. They test, they provoke, they challenge. Not because they're cruel, because they sense weakness, sense the desperation for validation, and desperation invites exploitation. The man who needs your approval gives you power over him. The man who needs your respect becomes your servant. The man who needs your validation becomes your puppet. And predators sense this, circle it, exploit it, not through violence, through subtle manipulation, through withholding the very validation the weak man craves. But the man who needs nothing, they avoid him, give him space, offer respect without him demanding it, not because he's aggressive, because he's complete, self-contained, operating from a foundation they can't reach, can't manipulate, can't control. And control is what most human interaction is about. Establishing hierarchy, determining who has power, who submits, who dominates. But you can't play that game with someone who isn't playing, who doesn't need the prize, who's already built something internally that external validation can't touch. This is the power of the man who stopped proving. He exits the social hierarchy without leaving the room, still present, still aware, still capable, but no longer competing for the approval prizes everyone else fights over. And that absence of need creates presence, real presence, the kind that makes a room shift when he enters, not because he demands attention, because he doesn't need it. Commodus needed to prove himself constantly, needed the Senate's approval, needed the people's love, needed his father's validation. Every action, every word, every gesture designed to extract confirmation that he mattered, that he was enough, that he deserved the throne. And that need destroyed him, made him weak, made him manipulable, made him desperate, because he built his identity on external validation, on what others thought, on performance of worthiness rather than substance of it. Maximus needed nothing, not approval, not validation, not recognition. He'd already proven himself where it mattered, in battle, in leadership, in the choices he made when no one was watching, had built something internally that Rome itself couldn't give or take away. So when they stripped his title, he remained himself. When they murdered his family, he didn't break. When they enslaved him, he didn't become less, because what he was didn't depend on external circumstances, didn't require validation, didn't need proof. And Commodus feared that, feared the man who needed nothing from him, couldn't manipulate, couldn't buy, couldn't break through approval or disapproval. Because Maximus had become something Commodus would never be, complete, self-contained, whole, not through privilege, through trials, through loss, through the discipline of building capability in darkness and testing it in blood, through becoming something that needed no title to be real. This is what modern men lost, the understanding that proving yourself makes you weak, that the need for validation gives others power over you. That external confirmation of internal worth means you haven't built real worth, just image, just performance, just the desperate hope that if enough people believe your claim, it becomes true. But truth doesn't work that way. Capability doesn't work that way. Strength doesn't work that way. Real strength is tested in private, forged through repetition no one sees, built through discipline no one validates, developed through trials no one witnesses. And when it emerges, when it's finally revealed, it doesn't need announcement, doesn't need explanation, doesn't need proof. It simply is. Undeniable, solid, real, and everyone feels it. Not because you told them, because they sense it. The way animals sense predators, the way prey senses danger, the way weakness recognizes strength and makes space for it. This is why the gladiator who stops performing becomes more dangerous than the one who roars. The one who stops trying to impress becomes more impressive than the one who tries. The one who stops proving himself becomes proof itself, because he's shifted his energy from external validation to internal capability, from performance to substance, from proving to being. And that shift changes everything. Most men never make this shift, spend their entire lives performing strength, performing confidence, performing capability, always trying to convince others, always seeking validation, always needing confirmation that what they claim is real. And that performance becomes their prison, traps them in constant need, constant insecurity, constant dependence on opinions they can't control. So they're always fragile, always one criticism away from collapse, always one rejection away from crisis, because they built on sand, on validation, on external confirmation, and sand shifts. Validation withdraws. Confirmation disappears, and they're left with nothing. The man who stopped proving built different, built on what he can control. His actions, his discipline, his word, his capability tested and proven in private, not for audience, for himself, not for validation, for competence, not for approval, for reality. And that foundation doesn't shift, doesn't depend on opinion, doesn't require confirmation. It's either solid or it's not, either tested or it's not, either real or it's not. And he knows which, because he did the work, faced the trials, built the capability, in darkness, in silence, without witness. And when you build that way, something happens. You stop caring about the crowd, stop needing the applause, stop seeking the validation, not because you're arrogant, because you're complete. You tested yourself where it matters, built capability that doesn't require belief to exist, developed strength that functions whether acknowledged or not. And that independence from external validation creates the very thing you once sought through proving yourself. Respect, fear, space, presence. They give it freely, not because you demanded it, because you didn't need it, not because you proved worthiness, because you stopped trying to prove anything, not because you performed strength, because you became strength. And strength recognized is different from strength claimed. One inspires respect, the other invites testing. One creates space, the other invites challenge. One generates fear, the other generates mockery. This is the paradox weak men never understand. The more you prove yourself, the less they believe you. The more you claim strength, the weaker you appear. The more you demand respect, the less they give it. Because proving, claiming, demanding all reveal the same thing: insecurity, uncertainty, weakness disguised as strength, and everyone senses it. Everyone knows. The man who needs to tell you he's strong isn't. The man who needs to prove he's capable isn't. The man who needs to demand respect doesn't deserve it. But the man who says nothing, who proves nothing, who demands nothing, that man makes them wonder, makes them uncertain, makes them cautious. Because silence in the face of challenge reveals one of two things: either supreme weakness or supreme strength, either complete inability or complete capability. and humans are wired to assume the latter when facing silence, to project strength onto the unknown, to fear what they don't understand, to respect what doesn't need their respect. This is the weapon most men never forge, the weapon of silence, of self-containment, of not needing anything from anyone. It's not passivity, it's power. The power of a foundation so solid that external opinion can't shake it. The power of capability so tested that validation can't add to it. The power of identity so forged that recognition can't change it. And that power is rare. So rare that when it appears, everyone notices. Everyone feels it. Everyone responds to it. The arena reveals this immediately. The gladiator who enters performing, who beats his chest, who roars at the crowd, who makes himself big through noise, that gladiator gets tested immediately, challenged, provoked, because performance invites testing. The crowd wants to see if the show matches substance. The opponent wants to exploit the gap, and usually there is a gap. Usually the performance covers weakness. Usually the noise hides fear. So they test, they challenge, they exploit, and the performer breaks, always, because he built on performance, on image, on noise, and none of that holds under pressure. But the gladiator who enters silent, who looks at his opponent without expression, who stands in center arena needing nothing from the crowd, that gladiator shifts the energy, makes everyone uncomfortable, makes the opponent uncertain, makes the crowd quiet, because they don't know if he's weak or unbreakable, don't know if silence means surrender or dominance, don't know if stillness means fear or confidence. So they project, usually strength, usually capability, usually danger, and that projection does the work, creates the fear, establishes the respect, generates the space, without a word, without a gesture, without proof. Maximus mastered this, entered the arena like he'd already won, not through arrogance, through certainty. Certainty that whatever happened, he could handle it. Whatever they threw at him, he'd faced worse in private. Whatever test they offered, he'd tested himself harder, so he needed nothing from them. No validation, no respect, no fear, just stood there, silent, complete. And that completeness was what they couldn't break, couldn't manipulate, couldn't control. So they feared it, respected it, made space for it, not because he demanded these things, because his silence demanded nothing. This is the shift every man must make. From proving to being, from claiming to embodying, from demanding to commanding through presence alone. And this shift requires work, real work. The work of testing yourself in private until you know, not think, not hope. Know your capability, know your strength, know what you can handle. And that knowing, built through trial and discipline and relentless honesty in darkness, that knowing becomes unshakable, doesn't need confirmation. Doesn't need validation, doesn't need proof, because it's already proven, already tested, already real. And when you operate from that knowing, everything changes. You stop explaining yourself, stop defending your choices, stop justifying your actions, stop seeking approval for decisions you've already made, stop needing agreement for paths you've already chosen, stop performing strength you've already built. Just exist, act, move, decide, without apology, without explanation, without need. And that existence without need creates the very reactions you once sought through proving. Respect, fear, space, presence. They give it automatically, not consciously, instinctively, the way prey gives space to predators, the way weakness makes room for strength, the way uncertainty defers to certainty, not through submission, through recognition. They recognize something in you they don't fully understand but instinctively respect. Something solid, something tested, something that doesn't need them. And that need for nothing triggers something primal, something ancient, something that makes them cautious, respectful, afraid, not of violence, of solidity, of encountering something they can't move, can't manipulate, can't break. This is dominance without domination, strength without aggression, power without performance. It's the quiet authority of the man who stopped playing games everyone else is trapped in, who stopped competing for prizes he doesn't need, who stopped seeking validation from sources that don't matter. And that withdrawal from the game, That refusal to compete, that absence of need, that's what makes him win. Not through defeating others, through transcending the competition entirely. The weak man fights for position. The strong man needs no position. The weak man proves his worth. The strong man is his worth. The weak man demands respect. The strong man commands it through silence. And that difference, that fundamental shift from external to internal, from proving to being, from performance to substance, that's what separates men who break from men who stand. Men who need from men who are. Men who fear from men who create fear. Not fear through threat, fear through presence. The presence of something complete, something tested, something solid, something that won't break no matter what pressure you apply, won't bend no matter what force you exert, won't collapse no matter what you take away, because it's not built on anything you can take, not built on validation, not built on approval, not built on recognition, built on work, on discipline, on trials faced in darkness, on capability tested in private, on strength forged through repetition no one witnessed. And that strength built without audience becomes strength that needs no audience, that functions whether acknowledged or not, that exists whether validated or not, that remains whether respected or not, because it's real, actually real, not claimed, not performed, not faked, built, actually built, through work, through time, through the daily choice to become something solid when no one's watching, when there's no reward, when there's no recognition, just the work, just the discipline, just the commitment to being over-seeming. This is the path, from proving to being, from claiming to embodying, from demanding to commanding, from weakness disguised as strength to strength that needs no disguise. And this path is walked alone, in silence, in darkness, without validation, without recognition, without anyone confirming you're going the right way. Just you and the work, you and the discipline, you and the daily choice to build something real instead of performing something fake. And when you emerge from that darkness, when you've done that work, when you've built that foundation, you don't need to announce it, don't need to prove it, don't need to explain it. You just are it, and everyone knows, everyone senses it, everyone responds to it. Not through your words, through your presence, the presence of a man who stopped proving because he's already proven, who stopped claiming because he's already built, who stopped demanding because he already commands, through silence, through being, through the quiet certainty that comes from work done in darkness. When you stop proving yourself, they fear you, not because you threatened them, because you didn't need them, not because you dominated them, because you transcended them, not because you proved you were strong, because you stopped needing to prove anything at all. That's not weakness, that's dominance. And dominance doesn't perform, it simply is.